So, hello everyone. Today we are going to be having a PD on interdisciplinary collaboration. Some of you may remember there was a survey that went out a couple weeks ago about what you guys would like to see as far as PDs go. This was the one that scored the highest generally, and this is one that I'm actually very passionate about and is very near and dear to my heart. So if you need to get in contact with me and you want to talk at a deeper level about interdisciplinary collaboration, my email is right there. So in the chat, if you could just post, obviously we're all English teachers here, but if you could just post, what is a subject that you think synthesizes well with the subject that you teach? What is a subject that you think doesn't synthesize well with the subject that you teach? And have you ever worked with colleagues on lessons from a different department before? History, yeah. Social studies and science, never math, right? Yeah, that was sort of like the general estimate. I think that social studies is obviously the first clear choice because they actually share some of our standards, and it's also very like reading based and comprehension based sort of activities. That's certainly what I thought when I started doing this, and I had to do some practice exercises with this to familiarize myself with the subject. And I actually found out that it's easier to do than you think, and that's what hopefully we're going to be able to take away from. So, so today's agenda, we're going to talk about what is interdisciplinary collaboration, why it matters to you and why you should be doing it, and why it matters to you and to your students. How do you do it? And then I'm going to give us a quick exercise, and then there'll be some time for questions and answers. So let's just pull this up here. All right. So my goal is for you all to have information that you take away that is useful. This is a useful and productive PD for you all. Yeah, that's what I have to say about this slide. So what is interdisciplinary collaboration, apart from it being a mouthful to say? It's working across subjects towards a common goal. There's often a large overarching theme to the collaboration, like the environment or Black Lives Matter or immigration. So it's never a specific subject, but it's a grand theme that sort of is the great umbrella. So teachers collaborate in teams to develop interdisciplinary lessons that will be developed into a grade level unit plan. Teachers work in horizontal planning teams, bringing together the academic core and specialty areas with the goal of developing an interdisciplinary trunk. That information is brought to you by Sen McCurdy and Coleman, 2019. Would anybody change to the current definition presented on the screen? Would anybody change the definition or add to it in your own experience? Project-based learning, yeah. That's definitely one thing that we're talking about. Just give another second for people to respond. Don't want to.
I would add something.
Yeah.
One thing that I've noticed with the common themes is I like that part of the definition, but I think there's this belief that you have to be working from scratch together. But I think that the different disciplines can create their own lessons, and then you come together and share what you're doing in your classroom, and then you find the threads that connect in that way instead of doing it the other way.
Sure. So that's like a lot less work for everybody involved.
Yeah, I like the idea of just patching it together like a quilt. So it's not necessarily starting from the same place like you just said, but just picking up on this section on social studies and then moving back to ELA, then over to science, and kind of in that manner.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's great definitions. I might have to add that. So why should we do this? What's the purpose and what's the point? So interdisciplinary curriculum allows for learners to have new and interesting experiences and to apply their apply broad concepts in different applications. It gives a far more unified image of the school. And so as they work between their classes, they're getting the same message, they're getting the same idea, they're getting not the same instruction, but they're getting, it's far more unified, it's far more tied together, and makes everything a lot easier for them to even understand and process. For example, I like to teach Animal Farm. And if I had a social studies teacher that I was working with that was going deep into the Russian Revolution, that's going to be like a lot more enriching experience for both sides, right? So the social studies gets this like this out of world, this fictional representation, and then the students actually get the historical perspective. So it also lets the students see problems from various ways, right? Because it's the way that you approach something in the science is going to be different from the way that you apply it in music or in even fine arts. Yeah, I said that. Does anybody have any further reasons for collaborating? Got to really involve you. That's an important part. And if you don't have anything to contribute, that's okay.
It lends relevance to all the other subject areas too. And so when they see that they're all working together and not necessarily apart, you know, one thing that used to always blow me away was when students would say, but this is English, this is not social studies, or is that history? And you're thinking, okay, we have to have context in order to make sense of a text, right?
Right.
And so anyway, so that it does, always my favorite was that it's very much problem-based. And I've done a lot of work with project-based types of applications, problem-based, and we've always gone across the curriculum for that. I haven't done it as much in teaching English at Sun High, although I got into a really cool project last year. We just didn't get to finish it because of the pandemic. But that's what I see as its benefit, is that, you know, everything works together, you know.
Yeah.
To build off of what Deborah's saying, I think it kind of makes the subjects real life. I have a lot of students who said for English classes they don't read on their own time or anything like that. So it kind of makes you know, school subjects, it makes them into real life. Like, these were real people, real events. They're important for reasons that are not tied to a grade. And I think that that's an important, like, when you're working interdisciplinary, it just brings them out more.
They get more, I'm teaching Gatsby, and the first chapter is, I don't know if you read it recently, kind of boring. And so to put them to, well, boring by high school standards. And so if I put them into, getting them used to the 20s, the different how things were different back then, it gets them a little bit more invested and over that hump, because things pick up pretty quick after that first chapter. But getting to that first chapter is rough with juniors.
Right. So Ashley in the chat says, I agree. I have a lot of students who complain that they don't understand why they need math classes. Maybe this can make it more meaningful. Right. So I think that's a great point as well for collaborating, because it's sort of that's what we're sort of talking about here soon. Is it gives purpose, right? So it gives, like, those smart Alecs that are like, Mister, I'm never going to use the quadratic equation, but it's like, well, you might not use the specific thing, but like you can see how this is used in so many different subjects, so many different ways. So it makes their learning a little bit more holistic. So in my research, I found one STEM-focused school wrote this really interesting article on interdisciplinary collaboration. And this was fairly specific collaboration. This was across the sciences. So it was like the electromagnetic teachers. I don't know science, but it was like the specific sciences were working together. So it was like astronomy and like chemistry were working together. There we go. That's two scientific subjects. I'm a genius. So one STEM-focused school wrote an article on interdisciplinary collaboration. After the teachers taught the content in different classrooms, students from different classes could utilize the venue and work on a common project such as hydroponics by applying parts of the knowledge that they gained from different classrooms to solve real-world problems. And that's sort of even what you guys were just mentioning. It's like, why are we going to use this? It's like, here's real-world problems, here's the math, here's the science, here's whatever it is that we've been doing as a school, as collaborators across the way. So there's